This is Food Chemistry Unit 3, Chapter 11, Proteins, Amino Acids, and Peptides. Proteins have many roles in living organisms and food products. They make up 50% of the dry weight of living cells. Some food sources include eggs, dairy, meat, poultry, and fish. The structure is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, like we saw in lipids and carbohydrates, but now we add nitrogen and sulfur. Some proteins have iron, copper, phosphorus, and zinc. They're made of organic acids, which are acids with carbon. So, amino acids. This is the organic acid in proteins. There are three basic parts. You have a carbon side chain, a carboxyl group, and an amine group. It is the amine that has the nitrogen. There are 20 amino acids in the body. These 20 can combine to make as many as 150 found in animals, plants, and single-celled organisms. If two amino acids combine, they're held together by a peptide bond. A dipeptide, right? That's two amino acids bonded together. Polypeptides are many amino acids bonded together. The shortest protein has 20 amino acids, but most of the proteins have 100 to 500. So these things are huge. Amino acids and nutrition. Non-essential amino acids, the body makes these. There are 9 essential amino acids that cannot be made by the body, so the diet supplies them. The 9 are leucine, isoleucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan, valine, and histidine. Complete proteins are foods that contain all the essential amino acids. These are usually from animal sources like eggs, milk, fish, poultry, and meats. Complete proteins from a plant source would be something like a soybean. Incomplete proteins are short of one or more essential amino acids needed for human growth. So cereal, for example, is missing lysine. Beans are missing methionine. So it's best to use combinations of foods. Things like wheat bread and peanut butter, rice and red beans, hummus, which is chickpeas, and sesame seed paste. Color changes of proteins. Knowing the color changes of proteins helps food scientists control color changes in meat during storage and processing. Consumers believe that bright red meat equals fresh meat. Now, there is something called myoglobin. This is an iron-containing pigment in muscle tissue, and it's a red color. So a bright red color is not really an indicator of freshness, but people prefer to buy meat with this color. Now, the red juice that often runs out of meat, if you're ever handling raw meat, is not blood. It's water with the myoglobin dissolved in it. And I often show this video just to make sure you understand that the myoglobin is not blood. Denaturation of proteins. Denaturation, the protein shape changes without breaking the peptide bond. Most of the time, this is not reversible. Coagulation might result. Liquid or semi-liquid proteins form solid or semi-soft clots. Things like milk curdles, right, to make cheese, right here. Cooking eggs, or gelatin solidifying but then liquefying if exposed to heat. So these are all examples of denaturation. There are several ways to denature a protein. Temperature change. Heat is the most common method of denaturation. So for every 10 degrees Celsius increase in temperature, a protein denatures 600 times. Cold temperatures can denature proteins. Milk, if it's frozen and then thawed, might curdle, right? And that curdling is your denatured protein. Mechanical actions. Beating, rolling, and kneading, often of dough, right? Proteins lock into new positions with other molecules. Gluten is the protein in wheat flour, and it's responsible for the elasticity in your doughs, right? It enables yeast to rise and keeps the structure of bread. Chemical means you can alter the pH. A change in pH is needed, and it depends on the protein. Soy proteins dissolve into a sticky, basic solution. If you force soy in solution through tiny holes into an acid bath, you get stringy fibers. So see that play on acid base, right? This makes your simulated meat products. That's your soy meat. If you add vinegar or lemon juice to milk, right, those are acids, you get curdling. Sour cream, buttermilk, yogurt, these are the result of milk plus a different acid. Functions of protein in food, they can form gels. Gelatin protein can be heated and cooled. Custard is in eggs, milk, and you also have sugar in there. You heat them together. So these two are foods that you can actually eat, and these are types of gels. The gels themselves can be added to foods for structure. They stabilize foams, they thicken puddings and pies. They control crystal growth in frozen foods. Gelatin itself, like if you just buy gelatin, that's made from collagen, which is extracted from bones and hides of animals. There's protein in connective tissue in its pure form. It's nearly flavorless and colorless if you just buy gelatin, not like Jell-O gelatin, just gelatin itself. Emulsify. An emulsion is a stable mixture of a fat and water-based liquid. So fat plus water plus the emulsifier equals your emulsion. One emulsifier is egg yolk, for example. It's used in home recipes for mayo or ice cream. It's a stabilizer. Casein in milk is an emulsifier for milk, cream, butter, and cheese. Homogenized milk itself is a stable emulsion. So milk is forced through these screens under high pressure. It's breaking up the fat globules in the milk and reduces the size of those fat globules. The pressure changes the structure of that casein, and it bonds to the fat better. That's how you get your smoother milk. They can form foams. This is a gas suspended in a liquid or a semi-liquid. It's usually air or carbon dioxide. It's surrounded by film or a bubble containing the protein. There are 3 ways to make a foam using food. You can bubble gas through a mixture. This is really just like manual labor here. This is like blowing bubbles into milk from a straw. A lot of kids tend to do this, but you just created a foam. You can whip or beat a mixture like egg whites. This is pretty common for things like meringues, things like that, right? You just beat the egg whites. Aerosol cans. This is a sudden release of pressure. This is like your whipped cream can, right? The pressure causes air spaces to rapidly expand. Dissolved air and liquid are released as foam. Meringue, marshmallows, whipped toppings, ice cream, soufflés, and bread all have foams. Albumin is the protein in egg whites, right? And that's what makes it really good for foam. Develop gluten. Gluten is a strong, cohesive, and elastic protein. It forms when wheat flour is combined with water. Other grains like rye or corn are not quite as cohesive or elastic. So some good videos to watch about gluten and gluten-free diets. Cooking with high protein foods. So let's look at eggs. Eggs lose their carbon dioxide through their shell. The pH of an egg moves from neutral to basic when this happens. Water moves into the egg yolk as it is stored, and it's hard to separate the 2 parts of the egg if the egg is older. So egg producers will spray eggs to prevent this loss of carbon dioxide and moisture from the shell. And this is cute if you read this. Milk and milk-based products. These are your white sauces, cheese sauces, pudding, and cream soups. There's curdling. Acids cause globular casein molecules to unfold and stick together. Scorching. Too much heat and the protein clumps and sticks to the pan. You can avoid this by stirring frequently. Meat. There are three categories of proteins in meat. You have muscle fibers, connective tissue, and myoglobin, which is a dark red pigment. Collagen. This is the protein in connective tissue. It is softened during cooking, so meat is tender. The problem is that muscle fibers toughen up at higher temperatures. Meats are red because of that myoglobin, right? We already talked about this. It's the protein that holds oxygen in muscle tissue. When meat is cooked, the myoglobin loses an electron and it turns brown. The meat then turns brown, so that's where that red color disappears. Pork is lighter than beef because it has less myoglobin. Chicken and turkey can actually be light or dark meat. Poultry. Oops, let's do this over here. This is pork. Poultry, breasts and wings. These muscles in the birds themselves are needed for rapid, sudden movements. They do not need a lot of oxygen to produce energy, so that meat is often lighter in color. Legs and thighs, these muscles are designed for slow, steady use over a long period of time. Oxygen is needed for burning fat, so that meat is darker in color. All right, so here's the meat that I was just talking about. Duck and goose, these are all dark. They fly for long distances at a time during migration. This requires fat and oxygen. The meat is darker and fattier than chicken or turkey. The Maillard reaction. Amino acids in grains and meats are heated at high temperatures. There's a change in color and flavor. There's a reaction between proteins and carbohydrates. What this is, this results in this brown color of cooked foods, right? Like on your French fries or on toast. It's often in baked and grilled foods. It's the brown crust again on fries or toast. This is named for the chemist Louis Maillard, who first identified this reaction. It's this browning, right? Nutritional contributions of proteins. Proteins support growth and repair. There's up to 10,000 proteins identified in a single human cell. These make muscle fibers, connective tissues, cell walls, red and white blood cells, hair, nails. They help with injuries or when the body is stressed or fighting an infection. Most cells are replaced within a 7-year period. Blood cells are replaced every 3 to 4 months. You need proteins to support this. They fight disease. These are your antibodies, which are proteins that attack foreign substances. When you're exposed to germs, your body will make antibodies to fight those germs. These are proteins. They maintain fluid and mineral balance. They control the movement of water and minerals in and out of the cell. There's a balance of minerals for your nerves, brain, and muscles. They maintain pH balance. The blood needs a pH between 7.4 and 7.6. Proteins can release acids or bases if your levels are too low. They control bodily functions. They're part of hormones and enzymes. Hormones such as insulin, for example, it regulates glucose in the blood. Hormones control growth. They regulate the reproductive system and other body functions. They provide energy. The body does not store extra protein or turn it into muscle. Bodybuilding protein supplements advertise this, but the body cannot store extra protein you make or consume. When you eat more protein than your body needs, the body turns it into energy. It actually becomes ammonia and ketones, and these need to be flushed out of the system with water if the body has too much. Health concerns. Food allergies. The immune system reacts to a protein in food that it mistakenly thinks is harmful. There's roughly 175 different food allergies that have been documented. Symptoms occur immediately or within 72 hours and vary from person to person. Symptoms include hives, itching, tingling, swelling, red and watery eyes, sinus drainage, edema, swollen joints, vomiting, diarrhea, coughing, wheezing, dizziness, anaphylaxis, or swelling that closes the air passages and suffocates the victim. And edema right here is a swelling in the body, in case you didn't know what that is. Okay, now anaphylaxis, this is a severe, life-threatening allergic reaction. It's basically a swelling of your air passages, right? They swell so much that they actually close and you can't breathe. Peanuts, tree nuts, dairy, soy, wheat, eggs, fish, and shellfish are your most common allergies in foods. You can also have food sensitivities. This is an allergic-like response to non-protein substances like sodium nitrate and sodium nitrite. You can react similarly to an allergy, so they should be taken seriously. The food industry needs to accurately label its products because of these allergies and sensitivities. Equipment should not be shared in the manufacturing process. Residues of allergens can be on the machines.